absolute carnage here.
India, one of the most colourful, chaotic and craziest countries in the world. With a population of over 1.3 billion people, 22 official languages, 29 different states stretching over an area of more than 3 million square kilometres, the birthplace of 4 major religions and home to some of the best food you will ever taste. It is a serious overload for the senses. We've been here for 5 months now, travelling, volunteering and just generally experience all the ups and the downs that this beautifully crazy subcontinent throws at you. If you're new to our channel, then welcome. Make sure to subscribe and go check out our whole India series to see what we've been getting up to. We've put together some of our top tips that we've discovered along the way to help anyone who might be planning a trip there get their bearings and just dive straight in. Here's everything we'd wish we'd known before arriving and our 10 top tips for travelling India. First up, how to book trains and buses in India.
So booking trains in India can be a very daunting task. It can be very challenging. We use an app called Ixigo, which is downloadable on your iPhone, Android. It's one of the very few apps that allows you to use a foreign card when purchasing tickets. Another way to book tickets is by using tour operators, by using travel agents, but these do incur a fee. You're charged more. If you're on a tight budget like us, it's better to use the app. But if you want that peace of mind, it's just a bit easier to have someone book it for you, and 100 rupees, £1, doesn't really matter to some people. Go with that option.
And that brings us straight up onto tip number 2, tactile and tourist quota tickets.
The IRCTC, which is the Indian Railway Company, they hold back a certain amount of tickets for purchase the day before the train. So 24 hours before your train departs, there's a tactile quota booking. However, those tickets go very quickly and they're a little more expensive. But it's a great option if you are 3 days before a train and you can't get the ticket, and you can wait for the tactile to release, go online and try and book those. Another option, you can book a tourist quota ticket. Now there are certain seats reserved just for tourists. The same, there are certain seats reserved just for women. So with the tourist quota, you have to go in person. You can go to any major railway station and they'll be able to book the tickets for you, providing that there still are some tickets.
You do need to take your passport with you to do that though, so bear that in mind if you do go to the train station. I had made the mistake of driving an hour on a bike to get to a train station once, and not only were they not selling tourist tickets, but I forgot my passport.
Keeping on the topic of trains, tip number 3, the class system of Indian trains.
There's a class system on the train, so it starts all the way from general seating class, which is just a seat on a bench basically, all the way up to first class, which is private cabin with 2 beds in it. We usually travel in sleeper class, which is kind of somewhere in the middle. So it starts all the way down at general. If you're getting a short train for like an hour or 2, it's fine. They're usually extremely cheap. You want to get there a bit earlier so you actually make sure you will get a seat and you're not going to be sat by the toilets on the floor, which, let me tell you from experience, is not a fun journey. And then you have sleeper class, which is great for long journeys. I would recommend though, for me personally, I don't think it's the class I would want to get when I first arrived in India on my own. So if you are a solo traveller and you've just arrived, I'd maybe go 3AC first, depending on your comfort levels. Sleeper, it has 3 tiers of beds. There's no air conditioning, but there are fans, and there's no doors that disconnect the toilets from the carriage, so it does get a bit smelly sometimes. My top tip for that, if you are booking sleeper class, if you can try and book side upper or side lower, because you're on the side of the train, there's only 2 beds on that side just because there's a little bit less space. They're a bit shorter, the beds, but you've got more headroom so you can actually sit up. And then from there it goes into 3AC. Third class, you have AC, clues in the name, and just things are a little bit nicer. There's a door between the toilet and the carriage. You get sheets and blankets and things with your bed if you're going overnight. There's still the 3-tier, so again with the top tip of booking the side up or lower. But yeah, things are just generally a little bit nicer. And then from there, 2AC, which is obviously even nicer. The main difference being that there's just 2 tiers of beds. So everyone's got a bit more room, there's a lot less people. And you are a lot more likely to kind of get the perks of asking the conductor if you can have an extra pillow or an extra blanket, or if there's any extra beds. you're probably going to get that. And then there's a top class, 1AC, first class, and that's got all the bells and whistles really. We've never travelled in it, but I assume it's very nice. And you get your own little cabin, which I think has 2 beds in it, so it's a lot more secluded and a lot more private, and just generally a lot more comfortable. Before we move off the subject of trains, if you are going to book sleeper class, make sure you have a scarf or a sarong or something you can use as a blanket or a cover, because you don't get any blanket or anything in there, and it does actually get really cold, even in the south where it's very hot.
Our 4th top tip: look into where you want to go before you arrive. That might seem obvious, but to some people, like us, it's not always a given.
India is enormous. Have some sort of vague plan of where you want to go or an area you want to explore. Do you want to be north? Do you want to be south? Because that will really help you out and save you time and inevitably money. When we first arrived, we just kind of booked the cheapest flight into India from Sri Lanka, where we were before, and we had no real plan. We ended up wasting about 2 weeks just kind of mooching around the East Coast, and we didn't have a great time. There wasn't a lot to do, and if we'd researched that before, we would have just gone somewhere else straight away. But yeah, if you do have the time, explore it all, because there is so much to offer here. It's crazy, isn't it? We've been to different climates, different religions, they speak different languages. Just going from one side of the country to the other, everything's so different.
Number 5. Save your energy and download Uber.
Download Uber or Ola. Even if you don't always use them, they're great to give you an estimate of how much your journey should be. So a lot of the time when you come out of a train station, you'll be bombarded with tuk-tuk drivers, auto rickshaws, taxi drivers. They just see you with your backpacks and they go, I'm going to pester you until you get in my car. A lot of the time you'll ask them how much and they say a ridiculous amount, which to a traveller with money will sound nothing. You know, they'll say 300 rupees. £3, that's a good price. For us as a budget traveller, £3, 300 rupees is a lot of money, especially when the journey should cost 60 rupees. So it's always good to check on the app, find out how much things should cost, then you know where you can barter, you know where to start, you know what you should be paying. Download the app, check the price, go out into the world. You can still give to the local tuk-tuk driver, but you know the right price.
It has saved us so much time and energy there, hasn't it? Because when you get off a long 30-hour night train, the last thing you want to do is have to stand there and haggle for 15 minutes with a tuk-tuk driver when you know he's trying to rip you off.
Moving swiftly on to tip number 6. Don't let the thought of getting sick in India hold you back from things.
You are going to get sick in India, just don't try and avoid it. It sucks. You're gonna get sick, it's gonna be really crappy for a couple of days. It's inevitable. We have met a couple of people who've managed to avoid it on this trip. For us, our first 3 weeks in India, I spent 2.5 weeks of that bedbound, unbelievably poorly. After the first time I got sick, we massively tried to avoid eating street food, eating places we thought would be dirty, and the last place we ate was a shopping mall and a food court in a franchise restaurant, and we both were unbelievably poorly for a few days.
If you go to street food and you see them preparing it, you can watch, make sure everything's hygienic. If it's not hygienic, don't eat there. I probably wouldn't eat meat on the street food.
Most people we've met have gone vegetarian in India.
If you didn't know as well, which I didn't know when we arrived in India, Delhi belly isn't just a poorly stomach. Delhi belly is firing on all cylinders.
What did we eat? I'm so sorry. It's coming out of me like lava.
Graphic.
It wasn't what I expected. I thought, oh, I'll have a bit of a poorly tummy and I won't be able to leave the toilet for a while, but it was a lot worse than that. So just bear that in mind.
Don't let the thought of being sick deter you from eating the street food, because the street food is by far some of the best food we've had whilst we were here on it, and also the cheapest. Win-win.
Number 7 is slightly less graphic. Scams in India are very real. Read up about common ones before you arrive.
Make yourself aware of scams. Be aware of scams that are going on around you. In India, we know of a few people we've met who have told us stories of funny dealings and things that have been a bit suspicious. We had one friend who told us about a very nice gentleman who took him to his home and cooked him dinner. Sounded very friendly. And it was about halfway through the story where I was was like, I've heard this before, I've heard something very similar. And I'd read about scams online, about ruby scams, people getting conned out of quite a lot of money. And it was only then that he realised it was a scam. You can go from little things where people are telling you this necklace is silver when really it's not, and it can go to big things where people ask you to send some rubies back to your home country for them, where a dealer will pick them up. They don't ask you for any money, but then suddenly things start to escalate.
Yeah.
Be wary, be skeptical. Don't let it ruin your time. I fell into a tough time where I found it hard to trust anyone in India, and it really put a dampener on my time for about a month. It was really difficult because we'd had some bad experiences. So don't let it get that far. Just be skeptical in the first place.
Take everything with a pinch of salt. Every single day, I love India, and every single day, I hate India. You'll go through this emotional roller coaster, love-hate relationship with this country.
Come and have your own experiences.
Yeah.
Number 8, join helpful Facebook groups and communities.
Join Facebook groups. Follow Instagram hashtags of the place where you are then. There is a Facebook group called BATI, Backpackers and Travellers in India. When we first arrived, it really helped us with where we actually wanted to go, because like we said, we've done no planning. Indians, tourists, Indians travelling India, foreigners travelling India, a whole mix of people, and it's so good for current, right now, up-to-date information on certain places or activities or things happening. It's really saved us quite a few times, and it's really helpful to know you have a huge community of travellers out there who really want to help. And if you do get into any trouble, or if you're stuck somewhere, or even if you need, you want to meet up with someone, need a place to stay, it's even really good for that.
We're nearing the end now, guys. Number 9, finding cheap last-minute deals on hotels and hostels.
Use booking.com for last minute bookings. Because we're on such a tight budget, we found that by booking hostels or hotels the morning of your stay, you can get really good deals, stay for really cheap, and travel for a lot longer. Your money can go further.
Especially for us as a couple, usually the places on booking.com are guest houses and things like that. So whereas in a hostel we would have to pay for 2 beds, in a guest house we just pay for 1 room. For couples travelling or friends, people travelling together, it's a great option.
Last but certainly not least, the big number 10, pack for everything.
India has so many different climates, different places, different religions. Goa, you can walk down the street in shorts and t-shirt. Somewhere like Punjab, that's definitely not an option. Especially for girls, just give yourself options. We started in the south where it was really hot all the time. Then we went to the complete opposite and went up into the Himalayas in winter, and it was snowing and it was extremely cold, and we ended up having to buy lots of things. That is our kind of 10 top tips for traveling India, the things that we found most important, the things that we wish we'd known, and now I think the things that we tell most people when they say they're coming here.
Go and check out our other videos to see all of these things in action. Click subscribe somewhere around the outside. One of these, I don't know, on there maybe.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope this has helped you out, and if you have any questions at all, then shoot them in the comments below and we will get back to you. Make sure to check out our entire India series if you haven't already, and let us know what you think. We'll see you same time next week as I break down what to pack and what not to for a backpacking trip around India. We'll see you all then.